Hi everyone, and welcome to the Say As It Is with Pete podcast series. I'm Pete, your host, and each week I will bring you some frank and honest conversations covering various topics from learning and development, apprenticeships, funding, HR, strengths, recruitment, ESG, well-being, ED&I, employability, and much, much more. So let's get this week's episode underway and say as it is. Hi everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Say As It Is with Pete, and today we're going to be diving deep into the ever-evolving world of human resources. Yes, everybody, it's October and it's so many days now until Halloween, and if you love Halloween, perfect. I've been shopping this weekend and I've seen so many Halloween decorations as well as Christmas decorations all mixed together. Even better. So yes, it's October and it's all about the world of HR for this month's theme. So over the next few weeks, we're going to be looking at some of the following topics, and they are, so next week we'll look at attracting and retaining top talent, then navigating employee relations and conflict resolution. And then the last one of the theme for HR will be the future of HR, technology and automation. So if you want to get involved in any of those podcast episodes and want to have your say with me on the Say As It Is podcast, then reach out to me at Pete@Creativemind.zone and we can have a quick chat and get you booked onto one of those episodes. So let us waste no more time and get this episode on the move. So how has HR transformed over the years, and what role does it play in our modern workplace? Well, let's get into that now, shall we? So the world of HR, as we all know, has seen a dynamic shift over the years. Now, gone are the days when HR was just about hiring and firing, and they were the old days. So today it's a more strategic partner in the business, shaping cultures and driving organizational success. It's a little bit about the historical perspective on HR. So to truly really appreciate where we are, let's take a quick trip back down memory lane for some of us who are old enough to remember this. Now, HR was once known as personnel. And I always remember saying, I'm going to personnel, or go to personnel and that's all out for you. Well, it used to be called personnel and was the primary job was to look at the administrative tasks that needed to be done. So, you know, all the kind of admin side, processing paperwork, chasing references, issuing contracts. It was very, very admin based then. But as businesses evolved, so did the role of HR. So it's been transitioning from the mere personnel management to the more holistic human resource management approach. Now, there are some modern HR functions, so let's have a look at those now. So in today's dynamic work environment, HR wears many hats. And believe it or not, I know this because I work in HR. I have quite a lot of HR experience, surprisingly enough. Now, people don't think I do, but I've been in and out of HR for many, many years. So you'll be surprised what I know. So let's tackle these, shall we? So the first one, recruitment and onboarding. So in the UK, a study showed that 75% of candidates consider an employer's brand before even applying for a job. That's massive, right? If 75% of those seeking work are looking at the brand. So you've got to make sure you have an amazing brand. Well, not necessarily an amazing brand, but you've got to make sure that your brand stands out and that you are really showcasing your business via your brand. Now, I know a lot of people, when they are looking at getting their brand more recognized, a lot of it is focused around the young people in the role. You know, about getting young people into the business, but let's not be ageist now, and not let's go down the age discrimination here, HR. But your imagery should reflect your workforce. So if you have a very diverse workforce from different backgrounds, different ages, that's what it should be. And you should be using your staff for photos, not stock imagery. Trust me, it works. So, as I said, this is massive in today's world, and HR today isn't just about hiring, it's about selling the company's vision and culture. And that's why a lot of HR teams team up with recruitment or recruitment in general. So in some business you may have a separate recruitment team, separate HR, separate L&D, a bit like us in the company I work for. But it all comes under the umbrella of a HRE world. So, and me, I have my fingers in many pies, from recruitment to HR to L&D to health and safety to operations. My fingers are everywhere. Social media, branding, you name it, I'm everywhere. But there is a reason why I do that, and we will delve into that in some later episodes. But you'll find that when you go to a lot of the, London job shows, whether it be at Stratford, whether it be at in West London at White City or Milton Keynes or Manchester or Birmingham, you always see that it's that the people on the stand are from HR selling the brand. So remember that one. So training and development. So with the rapid pace of technology and technological change, continuous learning is no longer a luxury, it's a necessity. And who's at the forefront? Well, HR, and also this is known as L&D, so learning and development. That's my world. And I've been in L&D for many, many years now, and I absolutely love it. But we need to be ensuring that employees are always at the top of their game and making sure that we provide the best learning experience and journey ever. Now, trust me, there are some people in HR that I know and I've worked with, and they're very much of, oh, I can do everything. No. In the world of HR, we all have our own specialisms, whether that be HR, whether that be L&D, whether that be recruitment. And we need to pull on those strengths and use them where we are in the business. And L&D is my forefront and function. And I love growing and developing our teams, from writing training programs, to writing new e-learning courses, to managing our apprenticeships, to evolving them even more. And as some of you know, and I always say this, I'm a master strength scope practitioner, and I've embedded a strength scope awesomeness culture within the organization. So that's really enhancing our employee experience. And also, one of the things that I love doing is reaching out and speaking to others and providing a consulting service, and I do this under Creativemind.zone, but I can help people understand their apprenticeships more, because I've come from an apprenticeship background, from how to build their apprenticeship programs, how to become an employer provider, how to become a training center, how to create and write training courses, training needs analysis. I can do all of that. So if you need any of those services, reach out and let me know. A little bit of a plug there. But in the world of HR or in the world of L&D, learning is key. And you'll find a lot of people now will look for organizations that will invest in learning. And guys, remember, apprenticeships are not just for younger people. There's no age restriction on an apprenticeship anymore in England. So anybody from the age of 16 upwards can do an apprenticeship. But also an apprenticeship has got more meat to the bone. And if you do any of the apprenticeships that I bespoke with some of our providers, there's a lot of meat on the bone on those apprenticeships now. So yes, it's not just learning the knowledge, but it's also learning the knowledge, skills and behaviours. But enough, because I could go on about the world of L&D for hours and hours and hours, and I'm going to go off topic. So let me reel myself back in. And now let's look at employee well-being and mental health. So a quote that resonates here is, take care of your employees and they will take care of your business. Very true. So modern HR understands the importance of mental health, with many UK companies now offering employee assist programs, mental health wellbeing courses, and much, much more. And health and wellbeing, especially mental health, should be at the forefront within any HR function. Now, Diversity, equality, and inclusion, ED&I. So diversity isn't just a buzzword, and it should never be a buzzword. So companies with diverse management teams have a 19% higher revenues, according to a recent study. Now, HR plays a pivotal role in ensuring workplaces are inclusive and diverse. Now, we all need to make sure that we have a diverse team and we are recruiting socially. And that brings me on to two things. Look, I work in the world of hospitality and I work in the world of housekeeping. And I can see at the moment there are certain nationality groups that we're recruiting from, and we have far more of than what I really personally would like. I would like more of certain other nationalities. But I think when we're recruiting, we need to make sure that we are reaching out to all nationalities, not just focus on one or two, because that's where the biggest footfall is coming. We need to reach out to every nationality going. Join Facebook groups, Telegram groups, Snapchat, Instagram. Get out there, speak to existing team members. And I spoke about this in a recruitment podcast before. You need to look at your current workforce and say to them, guys, you're from the Romanian community, you're from the Polish community, you're from the Lithuanian, the Ukrainian, the Russian community. How do we engage with you? How do we get people to come and work for us? Engage with the student communities as well. Attend job fairs. There's so much that you can do. Become a disability confident employer, but also, become a socially recruited employer. Now, what I mean by socially recruited, I mean the Social Recruitment Advocacy Group, SRAG. Now, some of you know from previous podcasts and from previous posts on my LinkedIn profile, I belong to SRAG, which is the Social Recruitment Advocacy Group, and I am one of the founding members. Sounds really weird saying that, but I am, and I've been very instrumental in that role. And I am going to put a call out for action now. And my call out to action is, if you're listening to this, anybody in hospitality, pick up the gauntlet. Come and join me at one of our social recruitment advocacy board meetings. Meet Anne, the ex-skills minister. Come and meet other employers like Securitas, Tesco's, Amazon, and others that are looking at ways that we can socially recruit responsibly and tap into areas of potential hidden talent we didn't know we had. Now, this is run by People Plus, and I've worked with People Plus for the last 2-3 years, and I love People Plus. And I'm not just saying it, but look, they dealt with a recruitment issue we had in Glasgow, and we went from a 200% turnover in Glasgow down to a 60% turnover. Dramatic change in 18 months, but that is the kind of things that we do. And we've tapped into some amazing talent we would never have known. But then I've got a wealth of experts and professionals and practitioners at my fingertips to ask for support, advice, and guidance. And that's what social recruitment is about. Are we recruiting socially? And they do have a membership standard from gold, silver, bronze, and there's ways that you can work to see if you are a socially responsible employer, and if you're recruiting under the social recruitment advocacy group kind of framework, or the social recruitment framework. So if you want to find out more about that, reach out to me and I can get you along to the next meeting, which is in November. And I can tag you into those who are needed. And do keep an eye out on LinkedIn, because I will be posting some information about that. And look, guys, some of you have seen the videos I've done with People Plus. So stop dragging your feet, wake up, drink some coffee, and come and join us and become a socially recruitment or a a social recruitment advocacy ambassador. Can't get my words out now. Now, let's move on a little bit now. Let's look at HR and technology. Now, the digital age has revolutionized HR. Am I wrong or am I right? But listen, from using AI in recruitment processes to data analytics for informed decision making, HR is more tech savvy than it ever has been before. And as we move forward, the integration of AI and automation will only become more profound. Now, I use AI quite a bit, and I use AI for various reasons. But I think that you've got to look at this. Now, I know there are people that say, oh, there's lots of things you could automate onto AI now. You can do this via AI, that via AI, this via AI, that. You don't need these people anymore because you've got AI. Guys, stop. I'm not against AI. I love AI. But AI is as good as it can be. But you've got to think you still need that human touch. Yeah? You still need a human element to it. And AI is great for automating certain things, getting things done a lot quicker. It helps with productivity. Don't get me wrong, I love AI, and there's so much I follow on AI. I've read so many books on AI, all sorts. So and there's the right way to use AI and how you use it, and various other things. And it's interesting when I've read these books about, the correct way to use AI and get more out of AI to make it more productive. And I'm more than happy to have a conversation and a podcast on AI. If anybody wants to, reach out to me. But I do like AI. Now, when I look at AI, there's things like Jotform. So the company I work for, and me personally in my role, I use a lot of things for Jotform because Jotform is great. It can do so much for me. It can automate automatic responses. So, as some of you know and have listened and read my posts on LinkedIn, I've recently launched something called Aloha, and Aloha stands for the Aspiring London Omni Housekeeping Academy. A mouthful, but Aloha for short. Now, that academy, when the recruitment team are booking people in, what Jotform does fantastically, from doing a bit of manual work in the background, I've managed to use Jotform to create that booking form for the recruitment team that then sends out a automatic response once the space is booked for the candidate, to message them with all the relevant information. It then also sets a reminder email in the background to remind the person to come to the training. But not only that, the great thing about Jotform as well, and I am plugging it slightly, but another thing about Jotform as well is I can create conditions in the background. So when we do the handover and the person or the candidate graduates from the academy to go to the hotel, I've set a lot of conditions in the background. And those conditions are, when we recognize the hotel name, it knows who to send an email to let them know that person is coming, and it sends all the relevant information. Saves me having to take pictures, send emails, whatever. So it's all automated, and it saves so much time, and it gets the information out quicker. But it's also like our current employee survey or satisfaction survey. So we launched one earlier last year, and it's a year later and we're doing it again. So we did it, or I shouldn't say last year, we worked on it last year, but we did run it this year in, I think it was like April, May, we did it at the organisation I work for, but now we've done it again for the second time this year. Again, it's automated, it's there, we've changed things, the translations are already set in there. It does so much to save so much time, but having AI on Jotform is great. But the only difference is that you do have to have a bit of manual time with a human being to put it in. And that also goes for our e-learning platform as well. And I use Easy Generator. Again, it's got some AI tools in there. Love it, amazing. But again, learn how to use AI to get the best from it and get what you want. But also there's AI in recruitment tracking systems and much more. But AI, as I say, still has its limitations. So we still need a full HR team, okay? And they can never be replaced, yeah? If you use AI within your role, make sure you're using it the right way. Make sure it's helping you with your productivity and giving you time, because sometimes AI gives me some little bit more time back so that I can do extra things. So yeah, AI is great, and you know what, I might do an extra podcast or a bonus podcast on AI, so just watch out for that bonus episode. But as I say, AI and technology will never replace HR, because you still need somebody, but if it's used in the right way, happy days. Now, employee relations and conflict resolution. Now, we will do a more in-depth podcast on this, as I've said, in October. But what we must know is that open communication is the bedrock to any successful organization. And we should know that, right? If you don't, Wake up. Where are you? So, HR ensures that conflicts are not just resolved, but are turned into opportunities for growth and understanding. And we should be doing that. And trust me, in my day-to-day job, I've seen a lot of conflict and a lot of employee relations, and I've been involved in a few as well. So, we can all learn from conflict management, conflict resolutions. Employee relations are key, and employee relations deals with all sorts of things. And I think I'll enhance in some extra podcasts about what employee relations are. But it's all those things that you're relating to, from grievances to disciplinaries to flexible working requests, all various things. So employee relations is key, and so is conflict resolutions, but we need to learn from them. And I think this is one of the things that really frustrates me. And I know it's going to go slightly off topic a bit, but for example, we recently had a 15-year-old girl who was stabbed to death in Croydon, and we've heard about it all week. And my sympathy goes out to her family and her loved ones. But then we keep hearing this thing: oh, we need to learn from it. We need to do this. We need to do that. There'll be an investigation. There'll be an inquiry. There'll be recommendations provided, but we're not listening. I remember when knife crime started to go up. I remember there used to be huge, great big, bins where people could drop in knives, and guns and things, weirdly enough. But you could have these great big bins in the high streets. You could drop things in there, no questions asked. Yeah, and the police would get them, clear them, what have you. But we all seem to go, and it's the same when we go through safeguarding issues. When we've had recently the teacher who committed suicide because of her, inadequate Ofsted grade. I did a podcast on that, and if you remember rightly, I did say in that episode that another head teacher got similar grade back in 2017 and took his own life. But we didn't learn from that one, and a few years later we're back to the same issue again. When we have safeguarding where we have baby P. We had that scenario, and then we've recently had another one. But did we learn from it? No. And that's my biggest thing in life, is if we're going to make mistakes or we do things and things happen, we need to reflect on it. And we then also need to look at how we can learn from it, put things into place, and make sure it doesn't happen again. So when you deal with conflict or when you deal with employee relations, whether it goes right or wrong, always take a step back and reflect. If something hasn't gone right, reflect on it. See what you could do better. And I do it when I do training. Look, and we should be doing it. And if you're a trainer and teacher and everything else, when you deliver a teaching session or a training session, you always reflect on how that training session went, and could there be improvements? Could you make it better? And then you enhance your lesson or your course based on, the reflection of the session, and you learn from it. But we need to be doing that day to day. We all need to be learning from self-reflection, and we need to take that time out. So guys, when you're having those conflict resolutions, or you're having that conflict, or you're having those employee relations, and it hasn't gone according to how you wanted it, reflect on it. See if there's any best practices you can put in place, but take note and learn from it, because that is what it is all about. Digress slightly, and I hope I get my point across on that one. But again, this is Say It As It Is with Pete, so I'm going to say it as it is. So now let's look at the legal and ethical responsibilities within HR. Now, within the ever-changing landscape of the labour laws in the UK, HR professionals and practitioners are always on their toes, ensuring companies stay compliant. I think we've seen that obviously from Brexit, where we then had the new laws that came in about immigration, so with share codes, and now EU members having to have passports rather than ID cards. Now that then everybody needs a share code. So it's all changing. Everything changes. So not only immigration, but employment law and other bits and pieces as well. So we need to make sure that we stay up to date and compliant with all those changes. And it never ends. My organisation is part of the ALP, the Association of Labour Providers. And if you're not a member, then it's worth having a look at. And I attend various webinars, etc., in regards to the labour market. And it's quite interesting to see how that kind of pans out. And there are some things that do affect us and some things that don't. And there's things that prick our ears up that go, actually, didn't know that. Would that affect us? Probably not, but actually it's good to know it. And it's always good to stay up to date and compliant. Now, I am going to point this out. As a practitioner in your field of HR or L&D or recruitment or management or whatever your profession is, you should always have a continuous professional development log, CPD. And you should always have CPD hours. Now, I remember as a tutor, my CPD hours were 30 hours a year. Not a lot, right? But in an apprenticeship, your off the job or your CPD hours are anything up to 500 hours a year. A lot more, right? So I would say 500 is a bit too much, but I would say try and set yourself a limit. It would be 30 or 40 hours of CPD a year. Yeah. And keep yourself up to date because, you know, we need to, but we have to be honest with ourselves. But beyond the legislations and regulations, you know, there's an ethical responsibility ensuring fairness and justice in all HR practices. So HR support systems that we're using seem to be one of them. So I think people seem to be using a lot, you know, HR support services like Peninsula, like RBS Mentor and a few others where, you know, they'll use them to indemnify them if there is a case. If there's any issues, they run it through them to make sure that they're following best practice, but also they're in line with HR, because not a lot of HR professionals or practitioners, you know, may hold a HR degree or HR qualification, or, you know, or are very unsure of HR law. So a lazy term or a lazy way out of it is by having a HR related consultancy who you can call and run things through with them to make sure you're doing it right. They can help create scripts, they can help create questions, create your letters. Again, it's having like an automated system, but you know, guys, there are many of us out there that do our HR qualification and we do all the theory, but we don't do the practical. And, you know, it's easy to pick up the phone and have a HR related service there, and they can cost anything between 25 to 30, 40,000 a year. You can get some services that can easily provide you support, advice and guidance for as less as £500 a year. And you know, reach out to me because I can help you with that and give you the right advice and guidance. But you've got to understand, you know, as practitioners, you need to keep up to date with the legislations and ethical responsibilities as an employer, looking at what your rights are under human trafficking, child labour laws, and a lot more. So I will do a separate podcast on that one as well, because I think, although it's not going to be covered within this month's episodes, I will pick this up on a separate podcast, and we will look at more the ethical and legal requirements and responsibilities under HR. But guys, if you're going to use a HR consultancy service or a HR you know, helpline team, just make sure you're investing correctly, make sure that you are going to get your value for money and that they can indemnify you if you do have to go to a tribunal. Now, what I also will say as well is look at things like ACAS, employment law services, things like that, that are going to help you get to grips with things. So, you know, make sure you read things, make sure you keep up to date with things. You know, when I'm looking at things like 2P, for example, there's a lot of things like 2P we go through anyway, because we 2P in a lot of hotels I work with, and we 2P out a lot of hotels. So it's in and out. But I always make sure I read things. Even when it comes to disciplinaries or grievances, I tend to go back and look at ACAS and see if I'm following the right processes. Have we given the right amount of time? Various other bits and pieces. So never be afraid to look at something if you're unsure, question it, but use your common sense, please. And for some of you know, common sense is not one of my strengths. That's because I can't deal with people that don't use common sense. But please use your common sense on that one and keep yourself up to date. Okay? But also, there are a network of professionals out there on LinkedIn that you can link into. Link out to those people. Ask if you can come and ask if someone will be a mentor for you that you can use and bounce things off. There's also qualifications now. So there is the HR level 3, level 5 practitioner qualification. So HR business partner, HR consultant. Look at them. They're going to help you. But I will say, and I always get confused on this, but with the HR level 3 and 5 qualifications, the level 3 I would do first as an apprenticeship. And the reason why I say, so you may think, oh, a level 5 is more me. I would say, what the hell? Take this advice. My advice on the HR apprenticeships is this. Do your level 3 first. Your level 3 focuses a lot on employment laws, rules and regulations. Because when you go to your level 5, there's no level 4, go to your level 5, it focuses on the practical, and the theory. There's no laws, legislations, regulations that will be covered in that qualification. It's all covered in the level 3. So you cover that first, and then it's the theory and the practical on level 5. So it doesn't matter what level you are at. Make sure you mark yourself below 75, below 60% to do the qualification. You didn't hear that from me. But do your level 3 first. Now, enough of that. Let's crack on. The future of HR. So if we look at the post-pandemic world, it has reshaped the way we work, right? So we've had remote working, we've had flexible hours, and there's been a greater emphasis on work-life balance. And it's all at the forefront now. And there are more people looking for work at home, flexible working, all those kind of things. So as we look to the future, we have to think about emotional intelligence, and soft skills will become even more critical in HR. This is why I love looking at StrengthScope, because StrengthScope helps people identify, their zone of peak performance. It helps them identify getting from the pathway of limitations to pathway ability. So it looks at your mindset growth, but it also looks about harnessing your unique 7 or your significant 7 strengths, your bubbling unders, and finding out what your energy drainers are, but also how you can utilize and pull on others, which helps with productivity. And again, look, guys, I am a master StrengthScope practitioner. I can deliver all the StrengthScope, and I can help you and your team identify your strengths, your drainers, and your bubbling unders, and how to utilize, leverage, and enhance on them, and get you to those zones of peak performance, get you to the pathway of possibilities. And if you want to know more, email me, p@creativemind.zone, or head over to creativemind.zone for more information. So let's start to kind of wrap this up, because this is quite a long one this week, but a good one. So as we start to look to wrap up this week's episode, in this month's HR journey, it's clear that HR is not just a department, it's the heartbeat. Yes, the heartbeat of any organization. Take HR away and it's just a dead, lifeless body. Oh, the grim. But anyway, have a HR team, then you've got your heartbeat. So, also HR, it shapes cultures, drives growth, and ensures the workplaces are not just about work, but about people. So before I wrap up, let's dive a little bit deeper into a few areas that are shaping the modern HR landscape. So employee engagement and retention. Again, there will be another episode on this, but just very briefly, look, one of the most significant challenges in HR today is keeping your employees engaged. So in the UK, a recent survey revealed that only around 15% of employees are truly engaged at work. 15%. That is a staggering figure, right? That ain't good. So HR's role in fostering a culture where employees feel valued, heard, and connected to the company's mission is more critical than ever right now. It's not just about perks and bonuses. It's about creating a sense of belonging. Okay. Now, the gig economy and HR. There is HR and the gig economy. They do go hand in hand. Now, the rise of the gig economy has brought about a new set of challenges and opportunities for HR. So there are freelancers, contractors, and part-time workers are being an integral part of our workforce. So how does HR integrate these individuals into the company and to the company culture? How do they ensure compliance and fair treatment? It's a balancing act, and HR is right at the center of it. So my top tip here, and this is my personal view, take it or leave it, is that we need to treat anybody who works for our organization, so that's freelancers, contractors, part-timers, whoever they may be, we need to treat them just like an employee. Or if they're coming into business first time and working with us, treat them like a new employee joining the company. Do the onboarding, induct them, get them involved in training, really make them feel part of the company, not just an outsider coming to do a job, as this can build amazing partnerships and build an amazing working environment and well-being for those individuals, and it helps build the company's brand. Do you remember? We spoke about that earlier. Now, feedback culture. So gone are the days of annual reviews, and if you're still doing annual reviews, good. If you're doing quarterly or bi-monthly, brilliant. But some companies don't do them. So continuous feedback is the new norm now. So everybody's looking for feedback all the time. Yeah. So modern HR understands the importance of regular check-ins, not just for performance reviews, but for personal growth and development. It's about fostering a culture where feedback is seen as a tool for growth, not criticism. Regular employee satisfaction surveys are amazing if done right, and they're not being used just as a tick box exercise. You need to make sure when you get any feedback, you do something called a "you said we did." Okay, so show that you are taking what they're saying to heart and making changes, and show them that you are listening. Okay, because it shows that you're standing out, that you're not just getting this feedback and sitting on it, you're actually using it. Also, for example, the company I work for, we've just sent out our second employee survey and we've tagged it into managers. So the feedback from the employees that comes back will then help managers create action plans over the next, 30, 60, 90 days to come up with a plan of improvement where needed. And that's how it should be used. Then you can do a "you said, we did." Okay. Now, the role of HR in crisis management. Oh yeah. So the recent pandemic has highlighted the critical role HR plays in crisis management. From ensuring employee safety to navigating the complexities of remote work, HR was at the forefront, guiding organizations through uncharted waters. It's a testament to the adaptability and reliance of HR professionals and practitioners. So, as we dive deeper into these areas, one thing becomes clear. The role of HR is not static. It's dynamic, it's evolving, and it's adapting to the change and the needs of the workplace to the business landscape. So before I finally sign off for this episode, I'd like to leave you with a quote from the amazing Richard Branson. He said, "Clients do not come first. Employees come first. If you take care of your employees, they will take care of your clients. I'll say that again. Clients do not come first. Employees come first. If you take care of your employees, they will take care of your clients. And for a lot of service providers out there, take heed and listen to that. Reflect and action it. So it's a powerful reminder of the pivotal role HR plays in the success of any organization. So, as always, I want to say a big thank you for staying with me on this journey into the world of HR and the first episode for this month around the world of HR. So, I hope it's giving you some food for thought. And remember, the workplace is not just about processes and profits, it's about people. And HR is the guardian of that ethos. So, until next week, keep questioning, keep learning, and let's continue to say things as they are. Stay safe and take care. And next week, we'll be diving into attracting and recruiting top talent from a HR point of view. So if you want to join in that conversation, then reach out to me and I will be more than happy to get you onto that episode. But remember, you can listen to this episode again or go back to previous episodes in season 1 and 2. Listen to some bonus episodes via rss.com, Apple Podcast, Spotify Podcast, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcasts from. Remember to like, share, and repost this podcast to anybody you think may find it interesting. And until next week, guys, remember, you are all amazing. Keep smiling, keep laughing, and don't let the world get to you. You all do an amazing job. So until next week, guys, I'll catch you soon.